Galactic sentient broadcast. Target, planet Earth. Begin invasion in 3, 2, 1.
Greetings, invaders. My name is Scott. I'm going to try something a little bit different today. I wanted to just do a discussion about science fiction and maybe the bias against it, or why some people don't like to read science fiction. So I have a bunch of documents that I prepared, and I'm going to try to formulate a discussion on it. We'll give this a shot and see how it goes. So a while back, last year, I think I tweeted out just a social experiment for people that it applies to tell me why they don't read sci-fi. And a few of the answers here are because it's not realistic. Yeah, they can't get into space and the technology and would much rather carry a sword than a high-tech weapon. All right. Here's one. I don't gravitate towards sci-fi because what sounds interesting to me about a book is usually the characters and relationships, but sci-fi synopsis usually focus on more the plot and the setting description. Sometimes, yes. They don't really have anything against sci-fi, but they prefer it when it's mixed with horror or bizarro. Yes, me too. Sometimes books make up technology and I have to read 5 pages on what it is and what it does in order to understand the book. I just want to read something familiar to me and not worry if I'm too dumb to read the book. And now there's an article that I pulled, there's a bunch of articles that I pulled about bias against science fiction. So let me read some of these other pieces, bullet points from an article that I found too, saying some readers fear it difficult or challenging material. Some readers need to be presented with context before engaging with the new material. Mainstream readers do not think the same way. And then it goes on to say, readers of mainstream fiction are frequently more interested in reading about the here and now rather than the then or even when and there. Although this is only extrapolation, perhaps only 1% of the population are able to think like a fantasy sci-fi reader. Speculative fiction is a taste acquired from a young age. Young science fiction fans are also introduced to the genre through television shows such as Star Trek or Doctor Who. I've watched neither of those. Even before they read, sometimes the fascination continues to hold. Yeah, I grew up on just cartoons and then things like Outer Limits and X-Files. There wasn't really a strong sci-fi show that I really remember watching, like when I was a kid with my parents. They weren't Trekkies. We didn't get into any of that stuff, really. Here's a good one. The social stigma associated with speculative fiction still exists. Yes, true. Despite overwhelming evidence that science fiction is a genre of mature ideas and intelligent writing, mainstream society still holds that speculative fiction is for 12-year-olds with overactive imaginations, something that readers grow out of over time. Nerd cool, quote, nerd cool, and the fortunes of Bill Gates have not reworked that image. Yeah, I mean, there's also, like, shut up, nerd. I'm not going to go read a spacefaring book. I mean, for the booktube people and the audience, obviously, that are watching this, they may take offense to that, but there is still a stigma for sci-fi nerds. There's an article that's linked here. Darren Nash of Orbit Books says that sales of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time series increased after changing the cover art from a fantastical setting to a simple graphic. This tells me that readers who do not feel comfortable reading a fantasy book on a train or in a park will more likely do so when absolved of perceived social awkwardness. Yeah, if you're reading a steamy romance book, you're not going to hold the cover up in a subway train. Maybe you will. But yeah, a lot of people rip off the dust jackets and just have that colored spine as not to have a social stigma on them when they're reading. I don't really take my books out of the house. I just listen to my audiobooks, which are always a secret. So that's a little different thing. Science fiction just doesn't interest most readers. True. Some people just aren't interested in science. I know, like, my wife isn't really interested in that kind of stuff. She reads nonfiction and stories of biographies about people struggling through genocide or things like that. She's not interested in that kind of thing. And I get that. It's not for everybody. People, I don't know which parts of the brain or upbringing or societal environment some people need to be in to appreciate the imaginative things about science fiction. As opposed to not. I don't know where that comes from, if it's more environmentally introduced or chemically introduced. right brain, left brain kind of thing. I don't know. When I ask acquaintances and relatives if they've read science fiction and they say they don't care enough to do so, I find the answer frustrating. But it is a viable one. Sports do not engage my attention for more than a few minutes, if at all. Sorry, I had to do a quick reset. So let me know what you guys think. If you know somebody who likes sci-fi and you don't, maybe tell me why. There are books out there that are considered science fiction that don't have those giant explanations of technology. There are books that don't have those type of spacefaring, plasma cannon things. So those are kind of the rundown. But thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. Let me know how you think about these discussion videos. I'll try to continue them as much as I can. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.